What happens when you make a mistake? Do you go back a bar? Do you start from the beginning of a line? Or do you have to go all the way back to the beginning of a piece? My name is Zuzanna, I am a harpist and a harp teacher, and in today's episode of the Coffee Break Harp I'm going to show you one simple strategy that can help with so many things, from the very first stages of learning a piece, through memorizing music, and finally playing for others. I learned about this method from a teacher who called it a strategy of emergency exits, but another name that is much more common is repair points and also rescue points. I still think there is something in this first name, as what usually puts us into the state of emergency on the harp is mistakes. If we know what to do when they happen, we can have a much easier life as harpists and enjoy our playing so much more. Whatever you choose to call them, repair points are any points in your pieces where you can comfortably start playing from. It's as easy as that. They can be anywhere you want them to be, but having them spread with good frequency throughout a piece gives you more confidence and flexibility. They can be a lifesaver if you run into an emergency, and they are an important part of preparing for a performance, especially when you choose to play from memory. But they are also an incredibly useful part of any stage of learning the piece. You can start laying foundations for repair points right when you start learning a new piece. The best way to do this is by being very clear about what challenges you're working on and focusing on one problem at a time. For example, when you're putting hands together for the first time and you experience some hesitation while you do it, you may think that music sounds a bit choppy. When that happens, try to be more specific. Where do you get this thought for the first time? In which section do you experience this feeling of uneasiness about how things are progressing? Is it about hesitating before a group of notes? And if so, which hand is the hesitant one? Once you know the answers, narrow down your choice to the smallest possible section of the piece that you need to practice. If it is the left hand hesitating before a chord change, practice just that change first. Then add just about enough of the other hand to be able to practice the same chord change while getting used to having both hands in play. So nothing too challenging for the right hand, just playing 3 fingers one after another while left hand still works on the chord change. Once you can play that correctly a few times and feel confident about this section, you can congratulate yourself. You've just created a starting point for yourself there. If this is the first time you're trying this strategy, I encourage you to mark this starting point in your music, so you don't forget it once you're done practicing this spot. You can mark it in whatever way you want, as long as you're really clear what it is for, that it is a rescue point. I usually draw for myself a small arrow, a kind of contoured arrow like that, so it reminds me that this is my emergency exit. If you keep working your way through your new piece just like that, solving one problem at a time and marking where you were starting to play again, you will gather quite a few of these starting points, and that will give you a clear image of the sections that form the piece. This will make it easier to put larger chunks together because you will have more flexibility to pick smaller bits and you will not feel pressure to play the piece through from the beginning before you're ready. At this point, it may be worth to have an overview of the piece and see how your rescue points are laid out. Are there any big sections that haven't got any, for example, a whole line or 2 without one? Is that because they are so easy to play that you're perfectly comfortable to play that whole stretch through without stopping and you nail it every time? If that's really the case, you're perfectly fine to leave it like that. But if there are any stop and start moments that still happen, even occasionally, it may be worth looking more closely into what happens there. Knowing your repair points will be incredibly helpful if you're planning to play your piece for others. These situations feel very different from our everyday practice, and because of that, mistakes can happen. This is absolutely normal and it happens to everyone, including professionals. Playing the harp well doesn't mean 100% correctness, at least that's what I believe. It's great when it happens, but I believe that playing well also means being able to work your way around mistakes if they happen. Being able to see your rescue points in the music will be definitely helpful if you perform with a score. If you decide to play from memory, these repair points are a must-have. When we're excited or nervous, our brain goes into performance mode, which is very different from what it feels like when we're practicing just by ourselves. This is one of the reasons why in a concert you may experience some unexpected difficulties in a piece that you can otherwise play perfectly well in your practice room. Being super clear about your repair points will definitely help you managing these surprises. If your goal is to play a whole piece from memory without music, and you're at the point where you have perhaps memorized some sections of the piece but may need the score for others, the repair points will help you take control of that process. First, they will help you establish which sections you have already memorized, which are almost in your memory but a little bit hesitant, and for which you may still need music. This will help you decide how to go about learning them, so you can focus on those sections that still need some more time and attention. Next, when you know you have all the sections memorized, you can create a revision plan. You can work your way through the different sections, starting from the freshest and most recent that may perhaps not feel as comfortable as those you've memorized early on. A great way to revise a memorized piece is to work your way backwards, starting from the final rescue point and going back from there. You may have seen me working in this way with smaller sections in other pieces, and I recommend this exercise to everyone because it really works. You can turn the revision into a fun challenge by creating some flashcards. There are lots of different ways to play with these. For example, you can make a spare copy of your score and cut the sections so you can draw one at a random and challenge yourself to play from there. Or you can cut these sections into even smaller bits so that you can only see the beginning of a rescue point and then challenge yourself to play from memory starting from that spot. You can also come up with titles for the sections that are meaningful to you, for example, describing what they make you feel like or what you imagine is happening at that point of the piece. And if you are working on a piece which has a lot of lever or pedal changes, you can challenge yourself to remember the lever or pedal setup needed for each section. For example, by writing the name of the section on one side, then checking that you can set up your pedals or levers on your harp, and then turning the card to check whether you were right on the other side. I hope that you found this episode helpful. Let me know if you tried this strategy. Do you know any other fun ways of working with repair points? And if you haven't tried it yet, in which of your pieces you will give it a go? Let me know in the comments, and remember to subscribe so you get notified about new episodes of the Coffee Break Harp. Take care for now. Bye!